Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
Trudeau referred to me as a twofer.
And now, Pierre Poilievre's new candidate in Durham is a twofer.
Oh, yeah. Jamil Jivani gang is one of my favorites to watch. Check out this video. The longer it goes, the more you want him to keep talking. It's only about 10 minutes, but he ramps it up very quickly. Jamil Jivani is a guy to pay attention to. Love watching this fella. Let's take a peek.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
Have my COVID and my flu shot. Go get yours. Please don't get sick this winter.
National Forum to End Liberal Racism.
Here, here.
We appreciate you being here. We've got people from all over the country here with us today, and thank you for making time out of your busy schedules for a very important cause. I also would like to note that, well, first off, my name is Jamil Jivani. I'm the Member of Parliament for Bowmanville, Oshawa North. I have the pleasure of being your host this evening. We have a series of fantastic presentations for you, but I first want to just start off by also noting the political diversity here in the room. Of course, as we expected, we have a great representation from the Conservative caucus and Conservative staffers, so thank you for coming. Appreciate you very much. And I'm going to ask all the Conservatives in the room to join me in a big round of applause for the Liberal staffers who showed up here today. We thank you very much. Feel free to enjoy a complimentary Bud Light. This is cultural outreach. We made an effort to make sure you could feel at home. And we commend your strong act of solidarity and allyship. There are a couple of Liberal MPs who did RSVP. We'll see if they show up, but I certainly do hope that they make it here today. So before we get to our presentations, I do want to just kind of give some opening remarks and explain as best as I can sort of where I'm coming from in wanting to start this important conversation. For all throughout Canadian history, there have been numerous efforts made by the great people of this nation to hold their government accountable. And often that has taken form of demanding the government treat all citizens fairly and equally. Today, we are confronting a modern version of a very familiar problem. And it is a reality that today, with the federal government we have, that not all citizens are treated fairly or equally in public policy. I want to tell you a bit about why that matters so much to me in particular, and I'm going to make it a bit of a personal thing. I am, of course, a proud Canadian, and I am from a family of mixed racial and cultural backgrounds, like many other people across our great country. And the reality is that under the current government, members of my own family are not treated the same. It is normal and under current public policy that members of my own family would be treated differently. And it feels as though liberal elites expect people like me and many others across our country to accept that and take it as normal, when it is not normal and it is also unacceptable. And I want to explain what I mean by that. My father came to this country from Kenya, my grandfather from Scotland. And based on their heritage, they could have two very different experiences with our federal government today. We come from African and European heritage. And one half of my family today would be treated by the current government with open condescension. Thrust upon them the bigotry of low expectations, that based on their heritage, they are less capable of competing for opportunities in this country. Their skills and talents marked with a stamp of inferiority by government policy that suggests that they are unable to attain and be successful on their own merits, but rather they are treated like charity cases under this government. The federal government has normalized the idea that someone who looks like my father or other members of my family would have to disclose their racial identity in order to get a job opportunity or in order to qualify for admission into a government program. Of course, the underlying assumption behind that being that they would not be hired on the basis of their own merit. This is something that has been offensive for decades. We have known this to be a wrong way of treating people and stamping people's heritage, for quite some time. And then today it is presented to us as if it is a novel idea. An old form of stereotyping and discrimination presented to us today like sampling a pop song from the 1970s and telling us it is a new tune. But we didn't like this tune in the 1970s, and we are correct to say we don't like it today. The other half of my family, also affected by these same DEI policies, but in a different way. The half of my family of European descent, openly discriminated against by the government they pay taxes to, openly and blatantly excluded from job opportunities by the federal government, openly and blatantly excluded from government programs. This cannot be seen as normal, and yet it has been the norm in Ottawa for quite some time. To give you a practical example, if my father and my grandfather, two men in the same family, two men in the same family tree, two men without whom I would not be standing here today, if they both applied for a job with the federal government, they could be hired based on completely different criteria and also potentially fired based on completely different criteria. That's not normal, but that is what is presented as normal to us in this city, in this bureaucracy on a routine basis. I consider it to be a warped way of thinking, that two men who could have Christmas dinner together or be together at a family barbecue in the summertime could be treated so differently by the government that is supposed to represent both of them. Two men, by the way, who are citizens of this country and therefore should have equal standing and be treated the exact same way by the government that they pay taxes to. Now, today at the National Forum to End Liberal Racism, we offer an alternative. We provide a vision for our country that we believe is more unifying. A vision for our country that would lead to more prosperity for all citizens. And we stand, as we offer that vision, on a foundational belief in meritocracy and on the belief that the federal government simply needs to stop trying to control and manipulate the people of this country, but instead create an environment where people are able to live up to their potential based on their skills, their talents, their abilities, and their work ethic. We also believe that we must restore the value of Canadian citizenship, and that citizenship should be the common bond between all of us of different backgrounds. And on the basis of that bond, we are able to be equal participants in this society. No, I use the language liberal racism, and obviously it is a controversial term, but I use it because I want to make clear what I think we're trying to oppose when we talk about DEI. We often, as conservatives, embrace the language of our political opponents. You can find many examples of that. MAID and euthanasia, for example, being one, where we adopt the language of the people who are putting forward policies that we actually fundamentally disagree with. And when we say things like DEI, we are, again, using the language of people who are putting forward policies that we oppose. But when we call this what it is, which is a repackaged form of old bigotry, old discrimination, old ideas, I think we highlight that we are in fact standing on the right side of history here. So I stand today to oppose liberal racism because I am a believer in the Canadians across our country, for minority communities, their talents, their abilities. I believe that and hope that we will not settle for the three letters offered to us by liberal elites, but rather know that we can earn the entire alphabet from A to Z. That we should not be treated as charity cases, that we are completely capable people, and it should not be normal for someone to look at us and say because of our heritage, we need standards to be lowered, but rather that we should be empowered to live up to all the great things that we can do. I also stand here in opposition to liberal racism because I completely reject the twisted narrative of Canadian history that liberal elites use to justify the open discrimination against Canadians of European descent and their children. Your heritage in this country should never be used as a weapon against you. Nobody's. And I think we should stand up for it. It is my belief that we can restore the value of Canadian citizenship as our common bond between all of us. It is also my belief that together we can end liberal racism by speaking very truthfully and bluntly about what it is and highlighting the ways that it manipulates our society and divides people against one another. I thank you all for being here today. I'm very excited about our presenters and what we have to hear. God bless you. God bless Canada. Let's rock and roll, everybody.
Oh, yeah. We'll wrap it up right there, gang. Leave it in the comments what you think of Jamil Jivani, the concepts, the policies that he's talking about there. Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to see what people think. Aaron, Canadian Looney, like, share, subscribe. Check out one of the other videos floating around here. We'll catch you in the next one. Ciao for now.
Now, I am aware that there is a liberal playbook that gets used against people who disagree with this Prime Minister. A playbook that likes to marginalize and vilify anyone who has the audacity to stand up and say what is happening in this country right now is not right. And that playbook the Prime Minister likes to use, likes to cast people who disagree with him as racists. And I would be welcoming the Prime Minister to try that with me. You know, based on our history, I don't think that's going to go so well.
And now, Pierre Poilievre's new candidate in Durham is a twofer.
Now, I'm not exactly sure what that means in reference to a human being.
For him. But I also believe that he is completely out of touch with the needs and desires, the hopes and dreams of our very diverse country and the diverse communities like the one I represent in Durham. He's welcome to take his claims that people who disagree with him are racist to my African father and see how that goes for him. He also uses this liberal playbook to marginalize and vilify Canadians who disagree with him by calling those of us who believe in traditional family values bigots. And I say to him, come to my riding, my diverse riding in Durham, and try that on us, where we have Christians and Muslims, Sikhs, Hindus, and Jews living together, all people who believe that mothers and fathers matter. He's welcome to try that with us. And I know his liberal playbook also likes to say that people who disagree with him don't care about the working class or don't care about vulnerable people. And I don't think that's going to work on me either. I am not a trust fund baby. Like most people in this country, I have clawed and I have scraped and worked hard for everything that I have. I don't think the Prime Minister can say the same thing. And the reality is this. He's welcome to try that message on people like my mom. She'd love to have a conversation with him. A woman who raised 3 children by herself. 68 years old, sorry mom. Continues to work hard every day because she cannot afford to retire in this NDP liberal economy. The liberal playbook is not going to work. They can try their greatest hits. Tune up the guitar. Tune up the banjo. The greatest hits aren't hitting anymore. And I'm here to deliver that message very, very clearly on behalf of my community in Durham and anyone else in this great country who is unhappy with what is happening and frustrated to feel like they are not able to say what is happening in their hearts and their minds, do not feel validated and affirmed by the reality they experience, not being echoed by many of the institutions across this country who have bought into a narrative that simply does not reflect reality.